Welcome to Combat Uplink, presented by Matlock's Fight Talk.
This weekend, we have Moicano versus Duncan. I'm not going to be talking about the main event. I'm going to keep this transmission short and sweet. I'm going to talk about two fights on this card that I'm personally interested in. But for my full fight card picks, you can follow me on Verdict. Links in the description. First, Tommy McMillen versus Manolo Zecchini. This is only interesting to me because Tommy Guns is a Sugar Sean O'Malley and Tim Welch product. And I don't mean to say that he's overhyped or that he fights like O'Malley or anything like that. I just mean to say he's one of their better prospects coming out of that camp, and just glancing at Tommy's record should show anybody that he's really nothing like O'Malley when it comes to his style. He has way more submissions, and he comes from a wrestling background. I'm sure many of you have heard Tim Welch talk about that before. But when I was researching Tommy before his Contender Series debut, myself and many others knew that fight was going to be a banger. A lot of people were thinking David McGoyan was going to fraud check Tommy simply because of the correlation between Tommy and Sugar Sean O'Malley. Turned out to be a crazy fight, really competitive. Many people, including myself, thought David should have got a contract too, but Tommy got the rub. Side note, David McGoyan is scheduled to fight Albert Morales on the upcoming Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano card. Also, I think he's an Arman Sarukian protege, so someone to keep an eye out for. Tommy is pretty big for the division, and I think that's doing a lot of work for him. This is certainly a favorable matchup, but it should be noted that Tommy is hittable. Manolo has been off for a really long time, so who knows what he's been working on, but his last outings didn't show much promise. He's gonna have trouble finding his range, especially since he doesn't really have a jab. Now he's up against someone who has a height and reach advantage, and McMillen doesn't have much of a jab either, and he's not too good at using his height and reach at this stage, but he's got the size. He likes that front headlock position. He can throw knees from there. So I'm picking McMillen, obviously, but this fight is just more of a gauge to see what Tommy has improved upon since his last fight. Speaking of long layoffs, Vannata is making his return after nearly 3 years off. I remember when Lando made his debut on something like 2 weeks' notice against Tony Ferguson because Michael Chiesa pulled out. And I picked Vannata because he has that action style that appeals to me, and I really thought he'd be tricky enough to get Tony out of there, just not enough time to prepare. And this was in the midst of Tony's legendary win streak. So, in the first round when Lando dropped him, I was ecstatic, but Lando ended up losing and not quite having the career I thought he would. And many of us were really hyped on him at that time. Even though he hasn't had the career that we thought he would, I'm still tuning in to watch him. Because even if he loses, he's a fun action fighter. Just like I do with Cub Swanson or Bobby Green, I just love these style of fighters. Vannata is tough, and he has heart. He takes way too much punishment, but he just doesn't have a lot of depth to his game. And I mean to say, he probably does, but his choices and strikes are nearly identical fight to fight, and he's super hittable. So an opponent who does the homework will know what to expect. And I think really what he's trying to do is eventually throw the right hand, get you to lean the opposite way so he can kick you in the head. But he's a fun action fighter, and in between those main attacks, he's crafty. I wish he'd use his jab more, but whatever, he is what he is. Darrius Flowers. I find Darrius Flowers to be a strange fighter. He used to fight at middleweight and welterweight. Sounded like he wanted to move down to 155 for quite a while, since maybe 2018 or something. But even at those higher weight classes, all the way down to 155, he's had a history, in my opinion, of gassing out. And I don't know if it is because of his conditioning or if he gets frustrated and he finds a way out of the fight. But there is a pattern of him getting submitted when things get tough, or just making strange decisions throughout the fight. When he finds success, he kind of abandons it. And the most successful he is round one knockouts. Multiple fights, he has milked the timer on questionable groin kicks. And with the way Lando fights, I think we'll see a circumstance like this too, because Lando a lot of the time kind of lifts his legs straight up and does push kicks and teeps. And I could see him, every single opponent kicks Flowers to the body. And Lando's going to be no different here. So I imagine we're going to see a groin kick in this fight too. And he uses that to kind of regain his composure and get some air back in his lungs and then come back out and fight. But that doesn't always help him. Flowers' style confuses me because I'm not sure where his strengths lie. He can wrestle, but he isn't particularly great at it. He sometimes has really good kicks, but he doesn't stick with it. He'll stand in the pocket and throw haymakers with his opponents because he trusts his power. But it kind of falls apart after the middle of the first round. Not always, but that's kind of the trend. So in my mind, if Lando's chin holds up and he minds his P's and Q's, which he never does, I'd imagine he styles on Flowers. Attack the body enough times, and Lando is sneaky with that head kick. Get the hands to drop, go high. Lando's also really good at catching kicks and countering, as we saw in almost all his fights, particularly against Tony Ferguson. And Lando can wrestle too. Generally can't keep his opponents down, but he can do it. So it's gonna be an interesting fight. I can see it definitely going both ways, but if you think I'm picking against Groovy Lando, you're insane, because I'm a big fan. So it is a hard pick, and I just wanted to shout him out, because Groovy Lando's awesome, and I enjoy action fighters like that. So win, lose, or draw, welcome back Groovy Lando. Should be a fun fight, and I predict it's gonna be a really weird fight, possibly with eye pokes and dick kicks, but I'm picking Lando to win. Thank you for tuning into this transmission. Again, follow me on Verdict for my full card picks, and follow me on X for live tweets, which I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this weekend since I'm going to be in a different galaxy with some business. But as for now, Captain Matlock signing off.